You are live. UFO, UFO, UFO. Who doesn't like a good old UFO story? Everybody does. I don't even care if aliens exist or not. It's either X-Files or nothing. Okay? Even if an alien came here right now from outer space, I will be like, hey, go back home. Okay? Leave. Play the X-Files theme song and then come back into our atmosphere. I don't want none of this game over here. None of these games, okay? Agent Mulder, Agent Scully. I had to Google their names again. I totally forgot. You know, I was like, what were their names again? X-Files, baby. Yeah. And who says that this would be the UFO? Like, it's got to be cylindrical. Like, why is this like the prototypical? You know, we always have an idea about an alien. Why? Because that's what we see in movies. That's why movies are important. See what I'm saying? That's why movies and media, it is important because it shapes what we see, how we think. If you ask anyone what they think an alien looks like, they're going to say Alien versus Predator. They're going to say E.T. They're going to say, big green goobly gob. You ask them what they think a UFO looks like. It looks like this. Oh, yeah. This round thing, this thing, That's a UFO. And why are we talking about UFOs? We're talking about UFOs because the White House is talking about them, baby. Okay? The government just dropped more UFO files. And the first thing you need to know is that they don't even call them UFOs anymore. Okay? They call them UAPs. Unidentified anomalous phenomena. Yummy. Let me get some of that on my food. Fancy way of saying something was seen, recorded, or tracked, and we're not telling you what it was. Oh, thanks a lot, White House. You don't tell us anything about anything anyway. I mean, first thing you should tell us about are the Epstein files. And then maybe we could talk about UFOs then, right? The aliens are not threatening us. The people that were actually colluding with Epstein, they are hurting us. They have hurt us. I'd rather see those files. Now, the Pentagon released the first batch on May 8th under something called the Pursue system. The second batch dropped on May 22nd. We're talking roughly 50 to 60 videos, documents, testimony records. One count puts the full disclosure at 222 files, including over 50 previously classified videos. And let's look at a couple of them. Why? Because it's fun.
Flying across the air. Aliens flying everywhere.
Blah, 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 blah. Who cares? I mean, do you believe in aliens? I believe in aliens. Listen, I believe in God first, okay? All I need is Jesus Christ and the Lord, okay? That's all I believe in. That's all I need. I don't need to believe in aliens. And I do believe, I do believe there was something written in the Bible. I can't recall what chapter or whatever, but pretty much says like, hey, man, human beings we're going to push, right? We're going to keep pushing. And we're going to try to, push our limits to what end? To our demise, essentially. Now, of course, I totally have it. I don't have it out of context, I believe, but there's something in the Bible that says, it's like pretty much what it's saying is like, hey, man, stay within your own earth, okay? Stay where I put you. Don't be trying to go out there. I'm sure someone in the comments will try to correct me, or will correct me and be like, oh, yeah, it's this one thing. I don't have it. Anyway, so We're talking roughly 50 to 60 videos. One of those videos reportedly shows a U.S. F-16 shooting down an unidentified object over Lake Huron in 2023. Now, does any of this mean aliens? No. The Pentagon's own office, the AARO, says it has found zero verified evidence of extraterrestrial activity. Now, unidentified doesn't automatically mean alien. It could be a drone, a balloon, a sensor, a glitch. It could be foreign surveillance, classified US tech, or something nobody's figured out yet. Now, I had it in here. The AARO, what does that stand for? That's the All Domain Anomaly Resolution Office. Yeah, we actually have an office like that in our government. And this is, of course, to try to understand what UAPs are. Thank you very much. More UFO videos.
All right, well, the Pentagon is releasing another round of UFO files. More than 50 videos, documents, and military encounters involving objects officials still can't explain. One clip appears to show an Air Force jet tracking an unidentified object over Lake Huron. Another appears to show a pulsing sphere gliding over water in 2024. And another shows a small bright shape on infrared as the camera zooms, tracks in, and tries to hold it in frame. Now, the Pentagon says don't call them aliens. Okay, fine. But after another stack of unexplained files, everyone is asking the same question. Well, what are they? Here to discuss it is Mike Ara, a UFO expert.
Yeah. UFO expert, my ass. How are you an expert on UFOs if we never really found aliens, right? There's shit flying all over the world, okay? There's a bunch of satellites in the sky. You don't even know if they're Starlink. Thanks a lot, Elon Musk. I don't even know what's a star anymore. I can barely see stars in New York. So every time I see a star, I'm like, what is that? Is that a plane? Is that a star? Is that a Starlink satellite? And then I get sad. I get really sad. So thanks a lot. You know what I should do? Sue for pain and suffering. That's what people do, right? We sue, I think. America, UFOs flying over the White House. That's the picture we have. Now, we don't know, and it came from another civilization are not the same sentence, right? We don't know is the catch-all, right? We don't know what happened. The White House can say that all day. That's always been their disposition. We don't know. We don't know what the hell that thing flying through the sky was. It's a UAP, okay? It's an unidentified anomalous phenomena. Don't tell me that it was an alien, and don't say that we're lying to you, public. So why release it now? Public pressure, congressional pressure, and honestly, the government would rather try to control the story than let conspiracy theories fill every gap. However, there's always going to be a conspiracy until we actually know what it is, what it looks like, unless we can touch it. Now, Area 51 always comes up here, right? It's a real Air Force facility in Nevada at Groom Lake. You can drive near it. You cannot go in. The airspace is restricted. The land is federal, and crossing the line gets you detained or fined. Some secrecy makes sense. Radar systems, satellite coverage, weapons tech, intelligence sources, fine. But if something turns out to be a balloon, just say that. If it's a drone, say that. If it's footage to be too blurry to ID, just say that, man. And then let us speculate. Everyone likes talking about aliens. It's fun to do. So let us have our fun. People can handle uncertainty, a little of it. What they can't handle is silence for 40 years. The release doesn't prove aliens. It proves the government has decades of reports, videos, and encounters the public is now finally seeing. And once you see some of it, you're going to ask, okay, what else is still classified and why aren't you sharing it with us? More UFO videos.
It's a UFO. Aliens are coming.
Come on now. I don't believe any of this. You know, I do believe in aliens, right? I believe in aliens, okay? To think that there are millions of galaxies and then there are millions of planets, to think that there's nothing extraterrestrial out there, to think that, you know what an alien can be, right? An alien can be a microscopic little organism, a bug, an insect, anything living outside of this planet. That's an alien, right? I mean, to think that there's nothing moving outside in outer space, that doesn't make any sense to me. And I believe in God, right? And I listen. If God says shut up, don't ask about aliens, guess what? I'm going to shut up, you know? He doesn't say that, but you know, he does say stuff, the other stuff, okay? So we can speculate about aliens. It's fun. It's fun to do. It's fun to sit there and be like, hey, look, government probably has a couple aliens in Area 51, you know, hiding them around, probably, you know, trying to shake the truth out of them. What planet did you come from? And a lot of us like to think that aliens are like superior, right? Like, you know, intellectually. So like they're much smarter than us. That's why they can come here and we can't go there. Who knows? It'd be pretty cool to find an alien, at least in my lifetime. That would be pretty cool. So that's all we got on aliens. Next topic, because I know you guys want the news. You guys want more Shoy Show. I think so. Yeah. The enhanced games, the steroid Olympics happened in Las Vegas, and the results were complicated. This was supposed to be the event where chemistry meets competition. World records fall, and we see what humans can really do without the rule book. That's not exactly what happened. Christian Golomev swam the 50-meter freestyle in 20.81 seconds. The official record was 20. The official world record is 20.88. So yes, faster by 0.07. So yes, faster by 0.07 seconds, but it won't count as a world record because the event allowed PEDs and banned equipment, including super suits. Here's some footage. Yes.
Proud in blue.
Go.
So wait here, expect Proud in the blue suit in the middle to get off to a good start. He gets off to an absolute flyer. So Proud takes it down. Can Colomie close the gap? They get past the 20.
Yeah. There were 2,500 people at the event, and essentially it was curated. That's what I heard, right? It was curated. So, I mean, the money is real. Colomiev got a $1 million bonus. The crowd was around 2,000 to 2,500 people, mostly families and influencers. This was very controlled. Now, one performance beat a world record time, but of course it doesn't become a world record. Fred Curley won the men's 100 meters in 9:97. That's this guy over here, which we just had up on screen. He had been talking about breaking Usain Bolt's 9:58 record. He didn't come close. For context, at the Paris Olympics, Curley ran 9:81 and won bronze. So he ran slower at the enhanced games than he did clean. The women's 100 wasn't close to a world record either. And here's the part that really complicates the pitch. 3 drug-free athletes won events at the enhanced competition. The event claimed 14 personal bests from 12 athletes, mostly in swimming and weightlifting. That's something, but this was marketed around breaking human limits, not personal bests. What the hell do I care as a fan that this person hit their personal best? That doesn't mean shit. I could go run a marathon right now outside, which beats my personal best. Nobody's going to care because nobody cares about me, okay? That's one thing. Number 2, it's just personal best. I didn't break a world record. And here's a transparency problem no one's really talking about. If the PEDs are allowed, tell us what was taken, not just enhanced or clean. What substances? What doses? How long was the cycle? Was it testosterone, HGH, EPO, peptides? Because without that, what are we actually evaluating? Now, Curley actually earned $250,000 for winning the 100. And athletes, they should get paid. A lot of Olympic level athletes aren't rich. Unless you're the one gold medal superstar who gets famous every 4 years, most are fighting for sponsorships, stipends, and appearance fees. When someone offers real money, of course people listen. But this isn't just a better paying league. It's a league built around allowing what mainstream sports ban. And do you care? I mean, to be quite honest, when I was growing up and I was watching Mark McGuire and Sammy Sosa, I was just a kid, right? I was an adolescent. And the way I looked at it was I was looking at the adults in the room, and everyone around me was like complaining, at least the elders were complaining about steroids. And me and my friends, I think most of us didn't care, right? There were a couple people that did care, but most people my age, we didn't care. We were like, what? Take steroids. Who gives a shit? Who cares? Break records. Win. That's the whole point, right? And I guarantee you, if those people taking steroids were on the person's team, right? So like, I'm a Mets fan. If my players were taking steroids and we were winning games, I probably wouldn't care. I can't guarantee it, but I probably wouldn't care. Now, if you get caught, you get caught. But do people really care about this? I'm not sure. I mean, that's up to you, the viewer, right? Now, the World Anti-Doping Agency has warned that this could push younger athletes toward experimenting with testosterone, EPO, growth hormone, substances that carry real risk, especially when they're stacked together. And of course, why wouldn't they? When I think about Alex Rodriguez, him getting multi-$100 million contracts, right? One contract was like for $250 million. Everyone around him in the league and other sports leagues are looking at him and saying, well, that's the standard, right? If this guy hits this many home runs and he's taking PDs as a matter of fact, then I guess I have to do that to compete. So anyone actually entering the sports arena is going to look at these drugs as a reality, probably as a necessity. So now you see testosterone and biohacking everywhere. Do you feel the same way as you did before? Do you think these drugs should be banned? Do you think we should even have a controlled sporting event like the Enhanced Games where anyone can take anything and compete any which way they want? I mean, technically, they're not affecting any other records, but they are creating benchmarks. And that's what's important here. Because these guys actually didn't shatter anything. It was actually pretty underwhelming. If they came out and they beat pretty much every record in the book, I think this would have gotten a lot more attention. But I think this was a failed experiment. Because what did this tell us? There were clean athletes that won events. There was only one world record broken. They defaulted, or they backtracked essentially to say, oh, hey, we had a lot of athletes that completed personal best. I mean, how does this make money, right? Because this is a business. This is actually listed on the stock market. The investors behind this include Peter Thiel, Christian Angermeyer, and Balaji Srinivasa. Peter Thiel, of course, the former CEO of PayPal. So one faster than world record swim that won't count, several big misses, drug-free athletes winning some enhanced fields, and a lot of unanswered questions. Did the Enhanced Games show the future of sports, or did it show how hard it is to beat the greatest athletes in history? All that, you took chemicals, you took drugs, advanced chemistry, and you didn't compete. What am I supposed to do? Cry? I don't give a shit about the Enhanced Games. They don't care about me. Okay? All I'm saying is a very real consequence of all of this is that kids are going to look at it, and unfortunately, they're going to say, how can I compete? How can I compete without taking these drugs? That's what I'm worried about. And there's a ton of evidence out there, a ton of research that shows that if you take these drugs, it essentially cancels your body. It will deteriorate it from inside out, give you side effects that you never even thought were even possible on the human brain and your overall physiology. That's why I never took steroids. I'm all natural, baby. Yeah. I don't want to look like that. I don't want to act like that. I don't want to lose my balls. Like both, literally and figuratively. I don't want to lose my balls because that's what it does, right? It chokes off your testosterone, right? And creates artificial testosterone. These drugs, they just shouldn't be there because, and if they are taken by athletes, I don't have a problem with it. Take it, do it clandestinely, don't put it out for everyone to know. Because again, what I'm worried about is whether you think you're a trendsetter or not, whether you think you're, you're a mentor or not, you are shaping and molding how the next generation looks at sports. Now, this is controlled, right? So parents are going to have a lot of explaining to do to children as far as, this is concerned. They're saying, hey, it's possible, it's clean, these people aren't dying, these people are in good shape. However, if we look at drugs, in the broad scheme of things, children are definitely going to be impacted. They are going to see these athletes and they're going to say, hey, if this can potentially give me an edge, why not try it? And it may be to the detriment of their own bodies. One thing I always think about when I think about performance enhancing drugs is for every Alex Rodriguez, for every Barry Bonds, and this is just from the research that I've done, there's 100 other people that the drugs just didn't integrate well with their body chemistry. And therefore they either got injured or they got some insane roid rage or whatever, right? They had such negative consequences and side effects that the drugs actually did them more harm than good. And you never hear about them. So we really have to look at this. I mean, there's a reason why these drugs are banned. Now, that can get very political. But the question is really for the audience. What do you think about this as far as them having the enhanced games? What do you think about drugs in sports overall? And then what do you think about the perspective and the optics that's essentially being shown to kids? Because they are going to be exposed to this and they are going to make decisions when they're old enough to say, am I going to take these drugs or not? Okay, next topic, on to quantum computing. You like quantum computing? Good, because I don't know what the hell it is either, but we're going to talk about it. Now, I've been following this for quite some time. There are several quantum computing stocks out there, and now the headline here is that the White House is making a $2 billion bet on quantum computing, and this is bigger than one tech headline. The Trump administration is taking equity stakes, roughly $2 billion worth, across 9 quantum computing companies, including a new IBM venture. The goal? Secure U.S. leadership and stay ahead of China. Now, quantum sounds complicated. Let's keep it simple. A normal computer uses bits. Zeros and ones, it's binary. A quantum computer uses qubits, which can behave in ways that let the machine explore certain kinds of problems differently. Not every problem, certain ones. Think drug discovery, chemistry, material science, cryptography, energy systems, national security, modeling. It's like a brain within the brain. That's how I've had it explained to me. Now, this isn't AI on the same chips. Quantum hardware is completely different. Superconducting circuits, trapped ions, photonics, extreme cooling, lasers. These are specialized machines for specialized problems. But it does fit in the bigger picture of our AI thesis. Now, this is a quantum computing marketing map, everything from the quantum encryption to hardware to software. And the biggest names that you'll hear about are Rigetti, IonQ, D-Wave, Q-Control. These are the companies that are getting most of the publicity nowadays. So AI is the intelligence layer. Semiconductors are the hardware layer. Data centers are the physical layer. Quantum could be the extreme compute layer for the problems everything else can't crack. Now, none of this has been proven yet. We are using some quantum computing across industries, and the government knows that this is strategic. China is investing, Europe is investing. The US doesn't want a future where quantum capability is controlled by rivals. Now, here's where this gets interesting. This isn't happening in isolation. The US already took an $8.9 billion stake in Intel through the CHIPS Act, a $400 million stake in MP Materials for rare earth supply chains, and there was a deal, of course, with NVIDIA to receive 15% of certain NVIDIA and AMD chip sale revenue tied to China exports. So what is the pattern that we're seeing here? The government isn't just writing rules anymore, it's becoming a strategic investor. Some people will like that. Norway has a sovereign wealth fund. Saudi Arabia has one. And if taxpayers are funding critical companies, maybe taxpayers should get upside when those companies win. But then you have to ask, how were the winners chosen? Technical merit, national security, relationships, access, that deserves scrutiny. And I'm sure it's a little bit of all of that. Now, if you're actually interested in investing in quantum, now you could just go and Google some ETFs that will track all of these companies here on this map. However, one of the more concentrated ETFs out there, one of the more popular ones is the Wisdom Tree Quantum Computing Fund. I have nothing to do with Wisdom Tree. I'm not supporting them in any way, shape, or form. But this has the big names: IonQ, Rigetti Computing, D-Wave, Intel Corp, Quantum Computing, Nokia's in there, AMD, Alphabet. It has over 30 holdings. And again, this is tracking companies involved in the development and commercialization of quantum computing. The fund balances pure play quantum startups with established mega cap tech companies. So the ticker is WQTM. And if we actually look at what they've done, if we actually look at what they've done year to date, WQTM is up 43%. In the last 12 months, they're up 26%. In the last 5 years, they're up 33.5%. So you may want to look into the stock. There's a lot of heat. There's a lot of speculation behind all of these companies. But if you're going to jump into it, again, I wouldn't throw darts at these companies. I would just stick with an ETF. Okay, back to quantum. Look at how amazing that computer looks like. That's just amazing. That makes you want to invest almost, right? That's a selling point in and of itself. Now, when the government can move stocks by announcing investments, contracts, or export approvals, the conflict of interest standards have to be airtight. Because the moment that this announcement came out, all of the stocks jumped 10%, give or take, in the same day. That's a problem, right? I mean, yes, they have to make the announcement, but again, who got chosen for what reason? Is it because the CEOs have been friendly towards the White House? Has there been some lobbying involved? I'm sure there has, right? There were also reports that Pete Hegseth's broker looked into a multi-million-dollar investment in a defense fund before the Iranian war. So we have to look at these conflict of interest issues. The Pentagon denied it, of course, and reportedly the fund fell during that period anyway. But government, and which tells you something, right? The market participants still vote. Investors still decide if the valuation makes sense. So government attention doesn't guarantee a winning trade. Donald Trump can buy all the stocks out there. It doesn't matter. The market will still vote. Now, quantum is certainly real. The future, in all likelihood, will need it. The White House may be right to back it, but once the government starts taking equity stakes in industries, it also regulates and politically promotes them, right? The public deserves to know why these companies, why this amount, who benefits, and how conflicts are being prevented. But what do you think about a sovereign wealth fund? Again, Saudi Arabia, Norway. This is a different kind of economy. We just have to pay attention to it because we're using our taxpayer dollars to buy these equity stakes. And then what if these companies triple, quadruple in market capitalization? Meaning they actually became more valuable over time. Do we see any of that money? Do we get a dividend? I mean, these are questions, I think very fair questions to ask our government. And if you don't want to ask our government, do what you want to do. Okay? You want to go get a bag of chips and just eat them? I want to do that too. I'm with you. At least we agree on something. Thank you very much. Next topic. When advertising replaces the conversation, this one comes from a book, and it starts with a commercial. Once upon a time, there was a book called No Against Adult Supremacy. It's a book that I'm actually reading right now. It comes from by way of a friend. There's a section on economic ageism. And the example that caught me was a 30-second douche advertisement, a fake daughter talking to a fake mother about a not so fresh feeling. Sounds like a random old ad, but think about what it replaces. A real daughter may never talk to her real mother about puberty, hygiene, body changes, what's normal, what's embarrassing. Then the commercial comes on and quietly fills that empty space. The ad tells her there's a problem, it gives the problem a name, it shows her a product, and now the conversation that might have happened between parent and child has been replaced by a brand. Nobody sits there and says, this commercial just stepped into my family, but it did something. Because even if that conversation were to occur in the future, it still has an impact on the child. And it has an impact not only on purchasing, but it has an impact on what they should be doing with that aspect of their lives.
Do you ever feel, not so fresh? Sure. That's why I douche. But only with natural ingredients. Who has natural ingredients? Massengill. They have vinegar and water or baking soda. Trust Massengill to make you feel naturally fresh.
Mom, do you ever feel not so fresh? Yeah, that's why I douche, you little douche. That's why I douche, my daughter. You gotta douche, baby, or else you're gonna stink. You're gonna smell. You're gonna smell bad. So take your ass to CVS, take your ass to the pharmacy, and start douching. And by the way, douche is just an extremely funny word. Now, I never really talked to my parents about sex. I actually did. It's, I told my dad's Egyptian. I'm Egyptian, right? But I was born in New York. And I told my dad tried to tell me something. He didn't even like sit me down or anything. He just tried to tell me, he's like, hey, listen, when you stick her, you stick. And I was like, all right, well, I honestly can't even remember where. And my dad speaks good English and everything, but I can't even remember where. Like we didn't sit down to talk about sex. My dad just said he was like, when you stick her, you stick. And I'm just like, I still, I'm 36 now. I really can't even remember the context, but I know that he was talking about sex. And I was just like, I was like, all right, I'm pretty sure we were talking about the dogs, right? Like the dogs kept having sex and having babies in the house. So he's like, when you stick her, you stick, you have to be careful. You have to be careful out there because you don't just want to, he didn't even say the words, but he was telling me you just don't want to get anyone pregnant. And this is all because I keep seeing the ruckus in the house. I keep seeing the dogs having sex with each other. They're animals. Now, again, I didn't really talk to my parents about sex except for that, when you stick. And I'm not making this up or anything, and I think that's common. A lot of us learn through movies, TV, friends, jokes, ads, a little bit of reading. It's really whatever we catch in everyday culture, right? Whatever's put in front of us. If the family doesn't fill the void, the market will. And the market doesn't educate neutrally. It teaches you what to want, what to be embarrassed about, what problem you supposedly have. Then it sells you the solution, like the douche. People get uncomfortable with the word brainwashing, but what do you call it when you hear the same message and it keeps hitting you until it changes what you crave, what you fear, what you think is normal, and what you think you need to buy? Television advertising isn't ancient, by the way. The first paid US TV commercial was a Belova watch ad on July 1st, 1941, before a Brooklyn Dodgers game. It was 10 seconds long. That's less than 100 years ago. And think about that. That was live sports. And for a lot of people, that's the last thing they watch with commercials. And what do you see? Pizza, burgers, beer, chips, wings, then the delivery app, then the betting app, then more food. You're not just watching the game. You're being prompted the entire time to eat, drink, order, gamble, and associate entertainment with consumption. And of course, young people get hit the hardest, don't they? Let's come back to the premise. When advertising replaces the conversation, it should be enough that they're already consuming our minds, our eyes, all of our attention, which is a commodity to them. But no, they're actually swaying the action. Not only do they steal our attention, but they're making us purchase their products. They're making us think a certain way. You might think that McDonald's or Burger King commercials are innocuous, but they aren't. They're affecting us subconsciously, are they not? We don't give much thought to the matter. And what can we do about it anyway? We could turn off the TV, of course. But if you think that most students, most children, the youth are extremely amenable, they soak up everything like a sponge, they can be easily swayed or persuaded, then you might agree with the statement that they're taught what phone to want. They're taught what shoes to wear, what body to have, what smell is acceptable. And what's significant here is that all of this occurs during their youth, which is the period before they have any real economic independence. That's the economic ageism piece. Kids are targeted as consumers before they have adult power. They're pushed into desire before they have income. Body shame becomes something to sell against. Loneliness becomes a subscription. Masculinity, femininity become product categories. Even childhood becomes a market. So when someone says it's just an ad, I don't think it's that simple. A commercial can teach insecurity before anyone gets the chance to teach confidence. It can answer a question before a parent ever hears it. And it can tell the kid the solution to discomfort isn't conversation or understanding, it's purchase. Think retail therapy. If a child learns about their body from a brand before they learn about it from their family, who's actually doing the parenting? Do I think commercials are evil? No, not necessarily. Do I think that they're innocuous? No, absolutely not. They are preying on us. And I think that the youth and the elderly are at most risk because they're most amenable, are they not? Whatever you tell a child, it's fairly easy to manipulate their minds. This is why the elderly get targeted with phishing and spam calls on their phones, right? People know that they are susceptible, so they prey on them. The commercialization of products, and of course, this is rooted in, centrally in capitalism. It's an affront to not only our financial well-beings, but overall, I just think our overall well-beings. They're telling us to purchase products which may or may not be good for us. They are telling us how to think, what to think about, what to purchase. And then it's really a conundrum here, because if you don't do these things, guess what? You fall out of style. You don't keep up with the Joneses. You're not cool anymore. There's a price to pay to be able to fit into modern day society. And that's what this commercialization is doing. I don't want anybody to do anything about this, and I certainly don't want you to kill the messenger. I thought it was a very interesting topic coming out of the book. And to go back to that idea again, it substitutes conversations that we should be having. It doesn't mean that the parents is at fault. Certainly doesn't. It doesn't mean that the parents still can't have that conversation. But the impact has already occurred. The moment that child sees that commercial, it's changing the way they think. It's changing the way they see the world. That's the big takeaway here. Okay, next and final topic. And this is what we're gonna, start it off with. Russia, Ukraine, satellites. What? I mean, this actually isn't funny, right? Because it's a war, and I just hate war. It sucks. It's terrible. And I don't just say that lightly. I understand that people will make the argument that war is necessary at times, right? I wouldn't even be here in the United States if all of the wars before me didn't occur, arguably, right? I understand that, but that's not the topic today. The topic is Russia and Ukraine are now fighting in space. Not with astronauts, not with lasers, with satellites. And it's getting crazy, baby. Okay?
Everybody get up, it's time to slam now. We got the real jam going down. Welcome to the Space Jam. Here's your chance to dance at the Space
Satellites
Jam.
going everywhere.
Alright.
Russia, Ukraine. Look, okay, I didn't really like when I think about space, like my mind is limited, right? So when I think about space, I be thinking about stuff like this, right? I be thinking about Space Jam. I need a theme song for everything, okay? Don't blame me. Don't get mad at me. What did I do? Russia and Ukraine are now fighting in space. A commercial radar satellite called ICE-Eye, let's just call it ICE-Eye X36 in case you need that information. ICE-Eye has been supplying intelligence to Ukraine and Western allies. This is extremely important. Now it's floating up in space and it is watching the Earth. And it is giving information, geographical information on Russia. ICE-Eye is a Finnish-American company. Their radar satellites can see through clouds, smoke, darkness, and bad weather. And that matters because Ukraine needs to track Russian troop movements around the clock, not just when conditions are clear. Now, 4 Russian spacecraft have reportedly maneuvered close to ICE-Eye X36. A 5th is moving into a similar orbital plane. Nobody has confirmed Russia is actively jamming or attacking the satellite, but moving your spacecraft next to the satellite, helping your enemy track your forces, that's not an accident. That's a message. So do we see what's happening? This is like when I was a kid, this is what they're trying to jump him. So you have your ICE-Eye satellite and they're trying to jump him. They're bringing other satellites to try to jump him. Now, whether they're trying to crack their signal, right? Or, I think it's called scramble, whether they're trying to scramble their signal or they're just trying to attack it. I mean, would they actually fly one of their satellites into their satellite to destroy it? Probably. I mean, there's nothing Russia won't do at this point. But this is pretty shocking. This is space warfare. I mean, I'm not even surprised that, or I'm actually surprised that some of these satellites don't have guns on them. They probably will have some type of weapon on them, you know, some type of weaponry in the future for instances like this. Now, Russia doesn't need to destroy it to make a point. They can shadow it, watch it, test the response, and remind every commercial operator in orbit, if your satellite is helping Ukraine, you may be considered part of this war. Russia said exactly that back in 2022, that Western commercial satellites supporting Ukraine could be treated as legitimate military targets. Starlink, Maxar, Planet, ICEYE. Hold on, I got a hair in my mouth. Why? Because I'm hairy. And I got, you know, a beard and everything else. What do you want from me? Okay? This show is live. Stuff happens. Is Russia maneuvering to threaten an ICEYE satellite? I don't know. Probably. Do you care? You probably don't. Whose problem is that? I don't know. These systems have now become how Ukraine communicates, navigates, maps, and targets. They're not background infrastructure anymore. They're active tools of war. That creates a serious legal and strategic question nobody has cleanly answered. If a private company's satellite helps a military fight a war, is it civilian, military, something in between? And if Russia attacks it, is that an attack on a company, on Ukraine, on NATO? This has to do with the entire commercial space economy. And of course, you've seen in the past that cyber warfare is not treated the same as actual warfare. When people die, it's much different if you break into systems and cause a virus or steal data. Now, of course, how long has this war been going on? Russia launched its full-scale invasion of Ukraine on February 24th, 2022. This is the 5th calendar year of the full-scale war. The battlefield now includes ground forces, drones, cyber operations, commercial satellite networks, and orbital maneuvering. And now you have to add the missile in. Russia used its Oreshnik hypersonic missile in a mass attack on Kyiv. This is the 3rd time the weapon has been used in the war. The attack included approximately 600 drone strikes and 90 missiles. Ukraine said it intercepted 549 drones and 55 missiles. Still, 2 people killed, 83 wounded. What's a hypersonic missile? It travels faster than a Mach 5, 5 times the speed of sound. For reference, a commercial airliner flies around Mach 0.85. The danger isn't only speed, it's the reaction time, the flight path, and the warhead options. The Oreshnik missile is nuclear capable. That does not mean that this strike was nuclear. It means that the delivery system belongs to a category that raises the stakes every single time it's used. This same missile can carry a conventional warhead. The same missile that carries a conventional warhead can carry a nuclear one. Russia claims the Oreshnik travels over Mach 10 and is extremely difficult to intercept. Zelensky had warned before the strike Zelensky had warned before the strike that Russia was preparing to use it again, citing intelligence from Ukraine, the US, and Europe. Now put both these stories side by side. Russia is using a nuclear-capable hypersonic missile against Ukrainian cities, while Russian spacecraft maneuver close to a commercial satellite. So Russia is using a nuclear-capable hypersonic missile against Ukrainian cities. At the same time, while Russian spacecraft maneuver close to a commercial satellite, helping Ukraine see those missiles coming. So not just on land, not just drones, the conflict now runs from the ground all the way into orbit. Of course, China is watching, the United States is paying attention. Every company selling satellite communications, battlefield imagery, or radar coverage to any military anywhere is watching this situation. So the first step in any next major conflict may not just be destroying a city. It may begin by blinding the systems that let a country see one coming. Thank you for watching.